At the same time, Everton right now are away at Brighton and are beating them 3-0. Everton do not have better players than Man United. They do not have a better manager than Manchester United. And they probably don't have as good a coaches, facilities, anything. But they've gone into this game today and they've got a do or die attitude. Now, that isn't going to get them through every game. That's why they're in relegation, because they don't have the overall quality. But we've lost 2 back-to-back away games. West Ham are nowhere near as good as Brighton, but both for the same reason to me: a lack of clinical edge, an individual mistake at a big moment that's led to a goal. And I just don't think these players believe right now. My question to the panel is, I don't know, you guys might not agree, but why are Man United lacking belief right now? Why are they suddenly going through this bad patch at the completely wrong moment? Is it they can't handle the pressure of having to secure top 4? Is it just a case of fatigue? Is it just they're not very good? They've been punching above their weight. Like, what would rivals put this down to?
I think it's just the fact that the whole, Rashford sort of bailing you out game after game, which is his job to score goals, right? For if you're playing as an attacker, you need to score goals. But I've said it for a while that that's not going to be sustainable, because I watched a few of your games this season against Leeds at Old Trafford. I can remember Leicester as well. They could have both beaten you if they were clinical on the day. You just happened to take your chances on the day. But I feel like with your team now, when I watch you guys, when you're missing these chances, it's like everyone sort of runs out of ideas. They don't know what to do next. They're sort of looking for that inspiration on the pitch and they just don't seem to find it. And it's just long ball central. You were doing the same thing against Brighton where you just kept playing the long balls to Rashford. That wasn't working. And what happened in the end? You ended up losing the game because of that penalty at the end. So for me, I think the Rashford scoring goals and bailing you out in a lot of these games wasn't sustainable is a big reason why you're here today. Because if Rashford's not stepping up, I feel like a lot of your players right now, they're just not stepping up. They're not stepping up. And there's no one they can look at on the pitch for inspiration. Casemiro has been terrible.
Well, this is what I want to edge on to that as well, because I think for me, when I'm watching Man United, there's a lack of leadership. And I also feel like decision making has been pretty poor as well. There's been many opportunities where, you've got Bruno Fernandes, who, how many assists he got for United in his time since he's been there? He's been brilliant, like doing that. But in the last X amount of time, even if he does grab an assist, like, I just feel like there could be an opportunity where there's like 2 men over, and he could create a 3-on-2, and it'll end up passing it in the opposite direction or squaring it, and like, everyone gets back, everyone's able to reset from the opposition. I just think decision making is poor there, but also
really. So Bruno not hoofing it is the problem now. That's wild.
Yeah, no. What it is, it's like he could choose to pass it to the right hand side for argument's sake, where Anthony and for argument's sake, Sabitzer might be there, and it could create a 2-on-1 situation. But instead, he'll go the other way.
He's playing a simple pass just in a different direction.
Yeah, but then I think that's a bad decision to make, because you can then overload and have a decent opportunity. He can then run onto the edge of the box.
Because you're Arsenal fan, if I'm not mistaken.
Right?
Yeah. So you want the narrative of Bruno hoofing the ball or forcing something, Man United fans have had to live with for years. So now in 2023 in May, I'm hearing someone criticize Bruno for making a simple pass. It's just funny to me. That's what it is.
It's basic decision making, though, isn't it? What would you rather? Would you rather make the simple pass and then the opposition are able to get back in a set formation? You can't do anything with it.
I personally wouldn't know, but
Well,
do you know what?
Leadership is a key thing that's going wrong.
I get you. I wanted to say though about this thing. I kind of get people's point. If Rashford isn't scoring the goals, who else does it? The long ball situation. But just go back and watch the 3 or 4 chances in the first half against Brighton. All the chances in the first half against West Ham. None of them were long balls over the top. They were all well-played pieces of football, fairly intricate, where especially the 2 opportunities in the last 2 games that Anthony has been worked into, the football's been brilliant. The 1-2 between Rashford and Martial, both at the end of the West Ham game and in the first half against Brighton, stand to mind. There's some really good football. But you are right. Rashford's not scoring at the moment as regularly as he was a couple of months ago, and nobody else is stepping up. Casemiro isn't at his best again. So when Rashford was at his best, Casemiro is at his best. Equally, our main 2 centre-backs are out. And then you have to move a left-back into a centre-back position. So now we have no left-hand side. There's no width on our left because their inside forwards cut in. And Malacia, I actually think, when I look at Malacia, he's actually been a relatively poor buy for us, not on a cost level, but in terms of, I don't know what he does. He's not a great defender. He can't beat a man. He can't cross. He can't pass. So there are some personnel holes there as well. But yeah,
Did you see any width? Did you see? You notice there was no width yesterday, Terry?
None.
Did nobody notice Anthony weren't doing the same role he does most weeks yesterday? That he was playing inside. Did no one notice that? That there were times when Anthony was keeping what Ten Hag calls minimum width, but then Wan-Bissaka was central, not overloaded. We didn't, for some reason, West Ham must have loved the way we set up yesterday because they were narrow and compact, and so were we. You know what you saw Martial do at the end of the game, right, when he broke through that little combination? That's what we were trying to do for 90 minutes. We were trying to play centrally through West Ham, away from home, as opposed to stretching the pitch, which is why I didn't agree with the team selection. Man United best games this season come when you play Sancho, Rashford, and Anthony. And the reason why is very, very simple. In Ten Hag's system, the ball needs to stick in the final third. We don't have the midfield. So when the ball sticks in the final third, yes, they're not P and P, but Sancho and Anthony keep the ball. So the rest of the team get up the football pitch. We stretch the pitch. We keep it wide. We can recycle. Fullbacks can overload. Bruno can run into channels. Yesterday, everything was in front of West Ham. I didn't see nobody making any runs in behind. I didn't see any width. And on top of that, they're low on confidence, fatigued, and De Gea made that mistake in the moment it was West Ham. That's why I said everything that could have went wrong, literally went wrong yesterday. Like,
this is my opinion. This is my opinion on United is go back to the second half against Liverpool specifically. It's a mentality issue. When you look at the players that are available now to Ten Hag, it's a lot of Ollie squad, a lot of Mourinho squad. Look at the difference when you've got the players in that Ten Hag's brought in. Up until certain points of the season with the injuries and stuff like that, you have a different team, and he's having to kind of plug gaps with players, with older players that he's got there. Casemiro's not been at his best, and we know that for a while now. Rashford's not scoring, we know that, but a lot of Manchester United's issues is a mentality issue, and this is the problem United have got. If they don't fix it quickly, they're going to quickly drop out the top four, which is crazy when you say that, because we were 12 points behind a couple of weeks.
That was kind of my thoughts on it, because I was sort of thinking about it. So, is there a notion that a lot of these players probably already thought maybe 3 or 4 games ago, top four is sorted now, road to the final, road to Wembley. Now it's just training into Wembley, but you've lost enough games now to warrant it a bit of a worry. Does that make sense? Like for me, you've lost enough games that there's just a knock on the door, a slight knock from Liverpool going, we're here. Like, and I think that for me would be the concern. I think overall, I'm on the press, on the sort of pretense. Actually, I don't think Ten Hag's done that bad of a job. I think he gets a lot of stick, and it's very reactionary reaction about people. I've seen people want him gone already. I'm going, I think he's done a good job.
You must have seen that a lot in Spaces. Is there much of that in Spaces, Danny? Because I've seen people tweet Ten Hag out, which I find.
Yeah. I just don't. I actually see with Ten Hag where Man United are going. Yes, like at the moment, right now, like you could argue, maybe you could argue forward of. A lot of those players won't be there in the next maybe 2 years. Like you'll see a lot of those go, and they'll start recruiting right for him to bring in his players that he needs. I think people are very reactionary straight away, because I actually don't think he's done that bad. He could go on and win 2 trophies this season and get into Man United into the Champions League. I don't think that's been a terrible season at all.
But if
do you know what?
Let me add something.
Can I ask a question?
Can I add something here? If you ask anyone in the world, any football fan, to compare the good and the bad of Ten Hag, they will not be able to name 5 or 4 bad things that he did this season.
Agreed.
But they can name you 6, 7, 10 good things that he did, from improving players to winning a trophy to taking the club forward to, if they make top 4, this is a good thing going forward. People are very, I agree with you, brother. They're very reactionary to just 1 result or 2 results. What you really can't name the bad things that he did. I'm sitting here trying to think of what bad did this guy do to Man United? Did he take them backwards?
No, of course.
I can't find anything.
No, you're right, and you could argue, he made bad substitutions, and we can talk about in-game stuff, and every manager we can talk about. I see people criticize Pep Guardiola for stuff that he does, like in-game mistake, and I go, but that happens across it. But it's when I see the reaction I see on social media, and it's never the good litmus test to test using social media, because it seems to just everyone just seems to be so reactionary. I always see on mainly Twitter and stuff. But I sit back and I think, what, Man United, what was it, 3 games left of the season for Man United, right? I think one more win out of 3 will realistically lock down fourth place, right? If someone can check the table.
No, we need more than that. We need
10 points.
You need 11 points.
It
Is it
depends
11?
on. Well, no, we need 3 wins from 4. We need 9 points.
Oh, it's 4 games left. Sorry.
Yeah, but that obviously depends on Liverpool winning all their games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have to. As it stands right now, we have to win 3 of our last 4 games.
A quick question, Terry, for Gav Stroll and the brother in the corner, so I don't know his name, because they spoke about mentality problem. Do you think, guys, Man United you think we're gonna bottle top 4?
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think you're going to bottle top 4.
I never mentioned mentality. I mentioned leadership.
So when you say there's a leadership problem or mentality problem, if it's Stroll or Gav, okay, then what's the end result then? Like, what objective are Man United not meeting with this mentality or leadership problem? If you don't think we're going to make top 4, then you consider we're in 2 cup finals.
No, I think you're going to make top 4 because I just think we've left it too little too late. But when you look at some of the players that are on that pitch at the minute, it's a lot of the older guard from the Mourinho era and the early era where there was a mentality issue and there's just that lack of belief in themselves. Like, you've seen the rot and the run that you went down and they let the manager down a lot of the time. And you just look at this squad now, you're having to revert to the likes of Lindelof instead of the Varane and Martinez, who I think has been an excellent signing. You look at the squad that you're into now because of the injuries you've got is a lot of the older players. I do think that you've done really well in terms of the 2 cup finals and you've done a tremendous job this season. I think Ten Hag's done well, but you just look at that squad now with the injuries you've got and it's like you can see that there's no belief because it's the older players that are having to come in and they're just short of confidence from the past couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do rivals think? Because obviously most viewers think United are going to bottle it. United are going to throw it away. What do you think, Gav? Do you feel like United will crumble now, having to win 3 of the last 4 games?
I find it. I just feel like if Man United score the first goal, I do believe that I would trust them to go on and close out a game. But when they go 1-0 down, it's like, who do you look to? That's what my concern is. I'm just going to have a quick look at the fixtures that you got left. There's one banana skin in that, as far as I'm concerned, and that is Chelsea, because you just don't know what Chelsea are going to do at the moment. They're awful, but there's a good chance that they can pull something out of the bag. And Man United and Chelsea, I think only the first time about 3 years ago, Man United did the double over them for the first time in Premier League history. So
I would argue that only banana skins Bournemouth, to be honest, because Bournemouth, they should have beaten us at the weekend. Like, if they were more clinical, we would have lost that game. But attacking, they are a proper drilled team, man. And going away,
our place, they were 2-0 up against us in next to no
yeah.
time.
I would say they're the game that United need to be looking at right now, because as much as we beat them 3-1, we were quite clinical. But overall, they're a good team. They were a well-drilled team. They score a lot of good goals. They're a proper team. So I would be looking at Bournemouth more than us. I think we can get a result at Old Trafford. Don't get it twisted. But right now, it's so easy to play through our midfield. There's nothing there. There's no CDM. There's no anchor. There's no protection in front of our back 4. If United get the chances that they've been getting and they've actually got their shooting boots on, they'll beat us. So I wouldn't even look at us. I'll be looking at Bournemouth if I was a United fan. Yeah. And sorry, my internet just dropped off there, Terry. I was just going to say as well, like, with United right now, the goal that you guys conceded, as much as De Gea shouldn't be at your club anymore, it's just not good enough. Mistake after mistake, right? It will be the same thing. We'll speak about him again in 2 weeks because he's done something else, yeah? That goal just represents everything that's wrong with United right now. The mentality is all over the place. How can you let Benrahma run through the whole midfield? There was like 4 or 5 players that didn't want to touch him.